My name is Sabrina Massialas, and I'm a fencer on the U.S. Olympic team that's going to Tokyo this summer.
What do you love about fencing?
First of all, just like a boring answer, it's really fun. When you're a kid, who doesn't want to just like sword fight with someone else? Like that's something really cool. You get to travel the world with competitions and meet people from everywhere across the country, across the world. That's like a very unique experience that you don't get a lot of other places. Your athleticism, you worked all this time to be able to move a certain way or to be stronger, faster, and then that in combination with using your strategy, your technique, your brain, it's just like the best feeling when you score those touches, when you get those points.
Okay, so if you could compete in any other sport, what would it be and why?
There's a few. This is kind of a cop-out answer. I say volleyball because I love volleyball, and I played in like middle school and high school, and I would have loved to continue past that, but my heart and soul is tied to fencing, so I had to say goodbye to volleyball. But if I didn't have fencing, definitely volleyball would be super fun. I think climbing is super cool. I'm not like a good climber, but I do like to climb. And that's like new for this Olympics. I'm really excited to watch the athletes compete and see how that goes. So I think that would be really cool. And then surfing too. I think it would be really sick to be a surfer.
What are like some of the biggest behind the scenes secrets of fencing that you'd say that we don't really know, that you feel like, okay, this is a secret, I'm gonna let it out today?
I don't know how much of a secret it is. I mean, it depends like how much you know about fencing, but to people who really know nothing, it's an extremely athletic sport. I mean, people think that it doesn't require a lot, it's just like more an aesthetic thing. Like it looks very elegant, and it can be very, very aggressive, and it requires a great amount of athleticism. I mean, everyone has their different kind of style and can be successful in different ways, but usually when someone who has never fenced before comes in and does like a day of fencing, the next day they can like barely walk, their legs are so sore because we're in like a constant squat position. Their hand is super tired and cramping. I think people underestimate the amount of athleticism it takes to be successful in fencing.
Last year, the pandemic hit everyone. Obviously, the Olympics were postponed. What was that like for you? You were ready then. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, so the pandemic actually hit right before our last International Olympic qualifier. So we were very much still in the qualification process. The team wasn't set yet. We didn't know. We knew some people who were going, some people were more set than others, but for me, it really came down to that last competition. So I really didn't know if I was gonna be on the team or not. And then the pandemic hit and our event was postponed / canceled, and we had no idea what was going on, and it was postponed an entire year. So, a year later it happened, and we prepared ourselves, and it all worked out. But yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Do you think your mindset going into the Olympics is different than it was last year? I mean, you were several months out still, but do you think has anything changed?
I think honestly, it gives us a unique opportunity to be really zoned in and focused, because when you go to the Olympics, especially when it's your first time, it's so amazing, it's so exciting, like all these different athletes in the village. It's just such an extraordinary experience, and not that it isn't gonna still be an amazing and unique experience, but it's going to be different. There's no spectators, we're not allowed to socialize in the way that we would otherwise. I'm trying to see it as a way for us to really be focused and not be distracted by all these exciting things, and really focus on what we're there to do, which is win, really.
So you're not going to have fans there. You're used to competing in front of fans. Do you think that's going to have any influence at all besides, like you mentioned, you're completely zoned in?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're used to competing in front of fans and not in front of fans. I think it's going to be weird being like we're in the Olympic venue, fencing in the Olympics, and no one's in the stands. That's going to be kind of weird, but I think we're going to be able to perform the same, if not better just because we're super focused and don't have any distractions.
So I want to know, how do you get ready for a match? I mean, do you have obviously your matches here are different, your practice matches, but is there anything that you do that's funky, weird, when you get ready for an actual competition?
I don't know if you've ever heard of the research where if you put yourself in a powerful stance before entering a competition or an exam or something that requires high performance, do the Superman pose. So that's something that I started doing before or the day of the event, in my room or in the bathroom or something, for I think at least 2 minutes of just go into Superman stance to build the confidence.
When did you realize, I know that you started young, so we'll talk about that. First of all, when did you really pick up your first foil? When was that? But also, what made you want to do that? Was it because, your dad was, 3-time Olympian, and your family was all around? But what inspired you to pick up that and say, okay, I want to join this fencing?
I always tell people I feel I wanted to be an Olympian before I even knew what the Olympics was, just because it was always there. It was very exciting. And then of course seeing my dad and my brother my dad being a fencing coach, my brother getting into fencing. I was a very athletic kid and kind of a tomboy too. I loved sports, and naturally just seeing it, I was so excited. I wanted to fence immediately as soon as possible. And then I started fencing when I was 6, but I really started getting into it when I was 7.
Okay, so talking about your dad, Greg Massialas, we all know him, San Francisco legend here. What is it like? I mean, they're your parents. Do you think about your parents and you think about your parents being at home and it's a parental, relationship, but then he's your coach too. I mean, how does that feel? What is that like?
It's a very unique relationship for sure. He and we try our best to keep it separate, coach when we're at the club and parent, father figure when we're at home. But the lines get blurred. It's not black and white. It's created a lot of challenges and obstacles, but I think ultimately we've grown a lot and learned a lot about ourselves and each other from going through that experience together.
Who is your Olympic hero?
I love Carrie Walsh so much. I think she's so cool. I really wanted to meet her. I know she didn't qualify for this Olympics, so I won't be able to see her there, but it's my dream to meet her. I think she's so cool.
So what would you tell kids? I mean, obviously here at this gym, at the M-Team Fencing here in San Francisco, there's a lot of kids and a lot of little girls that aspire to be like you and that see you and they want to be you. What do you tell them?
I think it's most important to be the most authentic version of yourself. And it's great to admire and take great different aspects and be inspired by other people and your teammates and older women or athletes, but really it's about being you and being the best version of yourself. That's what I would say.